Hello, I'm Aaron from First Machine Tool Accessories. I'm here with Richard and we're looking at the XT3000 at the moment. Can you tell me a little bit about it?
Okay, the XT3000 is a drill sharpener. It's made by Darex in the USA, and it's a benchtop machine for sharpening your worn drills. So you don't have to throw them away and replace them, and you don't have to send them out to be resharpened. This brings in-house sharpening capability to your machine shop or workshop or whatever it is. So anyone who uses drills could benefit from one of these.
And what's the range of drills that you can actually regrind on this?
In its standard form, we can sharpen drills from 3mm up to 21mm. And that's with the standard CBN wheel, that's high-speed steel drills, but we do have an optional diamond wheel for sharpening carbide drills. So you can sharpen carbide drills in those same sort of dimensions. And the machine is fully adjustable for different types of drills. We have a point angle adjustment from 118 degrees up to 150 degrees, which covers a nice range, with your HSS jobber drills generally being 118, and then your carbide drills tend to be more 135, 140 degree points. So we cover all of that. It also does a point split operation, and we have adjustment on that point split for the angle and the depth of the point split. So there's quite a lot you can adjust on here, as well as a stock removal adjustment for if you need to just take a little off a drill and you don't want to take a lot too much off, waste the material of the drill. You can set it to just take a small amount off, or if you've got a lot of damage on the drill, you can then set it for a much larger amount of stock removal. So quite a lot of adjustment in there in a fairly compact desktop package that runs on standard single phase and will run all day with an industrial quality motor, and it's built very, very solidly.
It's a solid bit of kit, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, exactly. It's all cast aluminium. There's bronze inserts in the areas where you might expect to get wear, and all the parts are available as spare parts if they ever need to be repaired or replaced. So designed to be very much a workhorse drill sharpening machine.
And does it have any sort of dust extraction that you can add to it?
It has a dust tray that collects dust, but the dust tray also has an attachment for a vacuum, and Darex actually can supply a dedicated vacuum filtration system for it. It's very competitively priced, and I tend to recommend to people, if they're sharpening carbide drills, especially with some of the coatings that they put on the drills, it's safer to have an extraction system fitted and to make sure you don't get those airborne particles.
So with the XT part of the Darex, is that stands for the expandability and how much more that it can actually do other than just regrind your standard drills?
Yeah, exactly. I mentioned in its standard form it can sharpen drills up to 21mm, but we have an attachment, for instance, to allow it to sharpen drills up to 30mm. That's this one over here.
All right.
And it has a larger chuck to grip the larger drills, and a different setting method to set the drill in the chuck and align it correctly. Normally, we have this station over here that's used to align the drills to the chuck, but with a much bigger chuck it doesn't fit in there, so it has its own dedicated station. These will actually fit onto this bay over here and clamp into place on top of the machine. So now you can set your drill in the chuck in this fixture, and then this grinding station is replaced with this larger one, and you can sharpen your larger drills.
So it just keeps everything in a nice tight-knit package. If
Very
you've
much
got
so.
a lot of larger drills that you're doing, you can keep it all within the same proximity to each other.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And of course, all the range of adjustments that you have with your normal drills also applies to that. So you can do big drills up to 30mm with a point angle of 118 or 130 or whatever you choose. So the same sorts of adjustments apply. We also have other attachments. This one, for instance, is used for grinding step drills.
All right.
And by step drills we mean drills that have a step in the fluted area, not common shank drills that have a step from the shank down to the flute. So that it's that very specifically that type of drill, but it works very well. And once again, it has its own setting attachment and then a chuck, and you can actually use this to create a step drill out of a regular high-speed steel drill. So this is used in conjunction with this tool here, which is your XY table. Yeah. And that actually gives you an X and Y feed, a fine feed that you can use to present your tool to the grinding wheel.
And that's what this sits on, isn't it?
Yes, exactly. That's what that grinding attachment actually sits on this XY table that has has a fine manual feed, and some of these attachments require that, some of them don't. Like this one here is our 90 to 120 degree attachment, so it just expands the range of drill points.
So is that for spot drills?
Exactly, for spot drills and similar drills that have a 90-degree point, you would require that attachment. This one here is an interesting one. That is an attachment for sharpening countersinks.
Can it do a range of different flute mounts?
Yes, it can. I think the smallest is 1. There's a cam at the back that actually controls the motion of this during the grinding process, and you attach different cams with different number of lobes to match the number of flutes on the countersink. So we have a variety of cams that are available for the different flutes. And this one also requires the use of the XY table in order to feed the countersink at the correct angle into the grinding wheel. But yeah, it works very, very well. And countersinks is one of those areas where you don't see a lot of standard tools, benchtop tools available for resharpening. They're a bit of an odd one, the countersinks.
Yeah, they're very much perishable if you can't resharpen those. So that's
Exactly.
handy to give them a new lease of life. So I've noticed that these are I can imagine these are the standard types for the XT, but I've got these have got some sort of serrations on it.
Yes, they have a serration on them. These are geared chucks, and they work with this attachment, which allows you to automate part of the sharpening process.
Oh, okay.
So they replace your primary grinding attachment, and what that does is, first of all, it gives you very good consistency because they apply a very constant spring pressure against the grinding wheel, so you end up with extremely precise and consistent results. And that is probably the most accurate way to use this machine, is with the automatic attachment.
So there's a built-in motor in there?
Yes, there's a built-in motor in here, and there's a control panel over here where you can set how many passes you want to take and how many spring passes, and it'll keep a count of how many drills you've sharpened. What this will also do is, if you're sharpening a lot of drills, it can relieve the stress on your hand from constantly rotating the drill in the chuck in the machine. It's really good for places that have, for instance, a tool store where there's an employee who takes in drills, resharpens them before putting them back on the shelf and then issuing them out again, and they are using the drill machine all the time, and it's constantly being run. Then that can make the job a lot easier.
Okay. So that's more geared for a larger shop with a large amount of machines drilling lots of holes, where you've got someone that's dedicated at a tool station that's there.
That, or someone who needs very, very high precision from their sharpening.
Okay.
But that said, in its standard form, it'll sharpen drills to aerospace standards, including carbide drills.
That's impressive, because with carbide drills, I know that sometimes the shank's actually larger than the drill itself. Is there a way of getting around that?
There is a way of getting around that. We have a special chuck designed for what we call common shank drills, where you have to get in front of the shank and grip on the flute.
Okay.
And we do have a special chuck dedicated to that type of drill. A lot of the time when you're dealing with drills like that, if you have a very short flute, it's not a problem. It's still stable when you grip on the shank. It's just those longer drills where you need to get in front of that shank and grip on the flute, but we do have a special chuck for that.
Yeah. Okay. So with the grinding wheels for this machine, what's the package come in? How does it work?
This is what the grinding wheels look like for this machine. It's actually 2 wheels.
Okay.
There's a main wheel which is dedicated to your primary geometry, and then an inner wheel that does the point split.
Okay.
And this means that if you have excessive wear, for instance, on your point split wheel, but you don't want to replace the whole thing, you can just replace that portion.
So it actually comes apart?
It actually comes apart, yes.
Right.
And these are coated wheels, so they don't need any kind of balancing or dressing or reshaping, because it's very important that the geometry of the wheel remains constant to give you the correct geometry on your drill. So these are an electroplated wheel. The standard wheel has a CBN coating, which is ideal for your high-speed steel and any ferrous-based drills, so powder metal drills, high-speed steel, cobalt, those sorts of things. And then, as I said, we have an optional diamond wheel available for your carbides, and it's very important that you keep them dedicated to the correct materials. We generally say they're good for about 10,000 sharpenings, but it all depends on the size of the drills that you're using and the amount of stock you have to remove.
So I notice obviously you've got one in your hand. What's the process of taking them off and putting them on? Do I have to rebalance them? Or?
No, there's no balancing or anything required, because it's a coated wheel. and the fit is very, very precise. There are no issues with balance on these wheels. In fact, these are machined to and manufactured to a very, very high quality, and they're very easy to change. You just have to remove that cover, and you can just swap the wheels over, and it's as simple as that. So you can go from grinding your high-speed steel tools to grinding your carbide tools in just a few minutes.
So this looks great. What's actually encompassed in the standard box in which I get if I order an XT?
Right. Yeah, okay. Standard package includes the machine. We have 2 chucks. So one of these chucks covers a range from 3 to 12 millimeters, and then the other one covers from 12 millimeters up to 21. And then it comes with a set of wheels for HSS and similar drills, so a set of CBN wheels, as well as a useful little face shield, full instruction manual. And then as well as these attachments that are available, we also have an optional work stand available for it, which will also work as storage for additional wheels and your attachments, and has a location point to mount a vacuum system if you need to.
So if I'm primarily going to be doing carbide drills, can I choose which wheel I have?
Yes, you can actually choose. If you would prefer to have the standard machine with the diamond wheels purely for carbide sharpening, then we can supply it that way.
All right, okay.
And we can also supply an auto version of this machine that has this auto attachment pre-fitted instead of the regular grinding station, if you intend to only be using the machine in an automatic mode.
Oh, okay. That's helpful. Oh, well, thanks for coming in, Richard. It's been really interesting to see what the scope of this XT can actually do, so I appreciate it. Thank you.
Very good to see you.
Cheers.